Hello and welcome back to the Jules with Gem podcast. I am your host GiGi and I hope you're doing extremely well. I'm continuing my Breaking Down the Signs Energy series, and I just have to say a disclaimer though, that the information I am sharing with you is just to explain the energies and that not everything is set in stone. I think of astrology as my cosmic parent or cosmic guidance, and that you are able to work with the energies within your natal chart to achieve your current soul mission so that you can evolve to the next phase of life. As I always say, the only constant is change. I cannot stress the importance of knowing your birth chart as it acts as guidance for your soul's evolution, at least in my humble opinion and experience. Let's get down to it, shall we? I will start by taking a look at some well-known South African Libras, and they are Kanyumbao, Anton Rupert, Buntle Morisele, Desmond Tutu, Zonke, Simpiwe Shabalala, and last but not least, Shakana, the Cardinal Air, born between September 23rd and October 22nd. These are the peacemakers of the zodiac. Libras are symbolized by the scales, and this comes as no surprise because these are the people who ultimately want to achieve a balance within their lives. They strive for some sort of equilibrium, but I think they tend to realize that, in this life that we are living in currently, it's just a balancing act is really hard to come by. And even if you do come by it, it's very difficult to sustain that because everything in our lives is kind of designed to bring some sort of weight, and that weight tends to put us out of whack and we find ourselves being unbalanced. But before we go too deep, basic facts about Libras: their polarity is positive, their quality is cardinal, their element being air, the symbol, the scales, planetary ruler being Venus, their opposite sign is Aries. Parts of the body ruled by Libra would be the kidneys, the appendix, and the lower back. Where Aries is about self, Libra is about collaboration. Collaboration, which refers to togetherness and balancing each other out. How in a relationship you would have, a partner or partners rather, who know what to do and what is expected of them in an effort to forge some sort of camaraderie and to sustain that. Balance is essential to Libras. And why, you might ask? Let's just take a look. For starters, Libra is associated with the number 7, which is the sign of equilibrium amongst the cosmic and psychic planes, as it refers to completion, wholeness, and perfection. It refers to equilibrium between the solar and planetary manifestation, or even between a spiritual ego of man and external ego, which would be the personality. It's also the equilibrium between good and evil as well. And like the scale, man tends to have two tendencies, which are symbolized by the two symmetric pans, where one kind of leads to, Scorpio, which denotes to our inner desires, our inner desires, not just the desires that, are on the surface. And the other refers to Virgo, which is ultimately denoting to our sublimation. So essentially, Libra is a symbol of how man should balance its inner tendencies. It's no surprise that Libra pertains to human relations and the union of spirit within self, which ultimately relates to spiritual and mental health. So union of spiritual and mental health is almost a godlike complex, if you can put it that way, because once this balance has been achieved, one can begin to understand how people react to people, places, things, and experiences, and that's according to how they perceive them, and that would be based on how balanced or unbalanced they are spiritually and mentally. I think that's also why half, if not most of the time, you will find a lot of Libras just unbothered by other people's actions. It's like they understand that people will comprehend things from their understanding and they won't really take it personally. That's also how they protect their peace as well and their balance, as they are extremely sensitive to what they allow to permeate within their mental and spiritual realms. They know how easy it is for them to be thrown off by the perceptions of others. So the reason why I even went into depth with that explanation is just to it's just for people to understand, or for us rather to understand, that Libras are all about balance. They don't really take everything too seriously, unless obviously it's pertaining to them and how well or badly they do things. But in the grand scheme of things, they just want people to do the right thing. They just want people to be fair. They just want people to have a moral compass, the same way Sagittarius wants people to have a moral compass, or to at least make use of that moral compass. I think that is ultimately what Libra represents. They just want people to know the difference between good and bad, and to ultimately make a decision as to balance all of those energies out. We all know what it is that we want. We all know what it is that we need. We all know what it is that we dislike. We know what it is that we like. We need to eventually find a balance between that. Otherwise, if you are living a life that's unbalanced, we all know what the repercussions for that is. And essentially, Libra just wants to make sure that everything is balanced. Libra just wants to make sure that everybody is okay, on the same page, so that there's no room for any type of misunderstandings or even conflict to take place. It's not that they want to avoid conflict, it's that the conflict happened because something was either misunderstood or there was an imbalance somewhere, right? Obviously. Now, harmony is definitely the name of the game for Libras, and this will be achieved no matter the cost. And unfortunately, I think to a certain degree, this is why they perceived as people pleasers, because nothing else spells fake other than bowing down to people to keep the peace, right? Even if it goes against their better judgment. And for me, it's more, trust me, Libras are not thick. They are not, do not underestimate Libras. I think they know exactly what is going on. They just choose balance. They actually have so much trust in you that you will eventually make the right decision. I think that's how they tend to look at it. It's like, you're mature, you're an adult, you're supposed to know the difference between right and wrong. Surely you will make the best possible decision. And that's just kind of how they look at it. Why should they get mad if you make a decision that they think is bad or awful? Why shouldn't they agree with you if they think that you made a decision that was good or that's going to benefit everyone, right? That's kind of how cerebral and how logical it is for them all the time. It's just like, I mean, why should they be mad? They would just like, honestly, in all honesty, and what it all comes down to, they would just love harmony to just permeate throughout all of the aspects of their life. But of course, they know that would be a foolish way to go about life, because like I said, Libras are actually scholars. These people study things. They study environments. Besides just studying for a degree or master's or whatever the case is, they actually study people. And this is how they are also able to get the things that they want out of people, and also thanks to Venus, which is a great help. I mean, Venus has endowed them with ample social grace, charm, and diplomacy. So they're able to get people on their side. They're able to be convincing. They're able to bring people together for the better good. And it's not even in a malicious way. It's more in a, okay, look, for the betterment of the team, let's do things this way. How can we all benefit from this situation? How can we all come together in this situation? I think that's how they tend to look at life. They tend to look at it as more of a we situation, because even when you look at the house that is ruled by Libra, the seventh house is all about unions. It's all about partnership. It's all about, coming together. It's all about, we go from the sixth house, which is all about everyday activities, to making things one. We go from work to love and relationships. So it's all about coming together. It's all about memories being shared. It's all about understanding the other. It's all about balancing each other. It's all about compatibility. And I think that is something that is so, it really is taken for granted, especially in relationships. I think one of the most important things to bear in mind when it comes to relationships is compatibility. Of course, I'm not talking about relationships, so I will not delve into that, but I definitely will be going into compatibility charts at a later stage. Synergy charts, they're my absolute favorites. I love seeing how the different planets and energies interact with two people or even three people. It's just nice to see the energies and how people influence each other in that way. However, like I said, that'll come at a later stage. I'm going off a tangent. But yes, these people are definitely able to get people on their side, and in a good way, in a nice way. It's not like a coerced, like forced way. It's not like a come here or else, like how an Aries would kind of do it, or how a Scorpio would do it. A Scorpio would be a little bit more underhanded, wouldn't be so aggressive, but definitely an Aries would be in your face about it, like, come on, we need to do it my way. This way will work better. They do it in such a way that you just want to. You want to be a part of their team. You want to be a part of their project. You want Libras to like you. You want to be on their team. You just want to be there because they exude that Venus energy, that social grace, that charm. Like, that charm is... I have a couple of Libras around me, and the way they are such charmers. But anyway, confrontation. Let's talk about confrontation and Libras, because I think this is the biggest misconception when it comes to Libras. Confrontation is definitely not something that they enjoy dealing with, because they are a social sign. So in order for you to have healthy social interactions, you need to obviously not be in confrontational mode all the time, right? You can't be like Aries. You can't be like Mars and be like aggressive and turned on all the time. Obviously, you need to have, like a social side to you that's, accepting of people's eccentric qualities and, their personalities and the way that they think, and or how they even do things and the way that they look at life. So they are a social sign essentially. So they usually, for them, it's like, I don't have to get into an argument, because they approach life, or they approach things rather, with fairness. They approach things fairly. So there's no need for the drama. And not because that they are weak or that they are coward, but I think it's mostly because of the respect for balance. Because they know that anything around them has the power to throw them off. It's like how negative feelings usually outweigh positive feelings in most cases. So they will protect their energy fields at all costs. And this is something that I actually can admire about them. As much as people don't understand it, they don't even have to understand it. And I think Libras have come to that conclusion that you don't have to understand the way that I do things. It makes sense to me. It has helped me maintain some sort of balance, because I want the environments, that I go into or that I spend most of my time in to be harmonious. I want them to be feel-good vibes. I don't want to go into environments and feel like I'd rather be sleeping. That's just the logic that they have in most cases. Venus also makes them quite attractive and have amazing sense of style. Oh my gosh, the Libras that I have around me, they are... when it comes to fashion, or even combining colors, dressing up, dressing down, makeup. Oh my gosh, when it comes to just the physical appearance of everything, they are definitely amazing with that. They definitely are gifted with that. A lot of them are in fashion or are into fashion, into clothing. If not into that, they know how to dress really well. They might be stylists even. And I think they focus so much on these things because they know how these things can make a difference when it comes to dealing with people. Listen, guys, let's not lie to ourselves. If you are dressed to the nines and you are maybe going somewhere, even if it's just to the mall, you are more likely to get what you want if you look good. Let's not lie. That is absolute facts. That is why a lot of people that tend to look good tend to get things done or tend to get their way most of the time, because people appreciate the aesthetics, or people appreciate the time taken to have themselves looking a certain way, compared to somebody who's just gonna, rock up at a mall in pajamas, who didn't make any effort whatsoever. And this is definitely no judgment to people that do wear pajamas or live in their pajamas. I mean, we are in the middle of a pandemic, so most of us are in, comfortable clothing half of the time. But, it really does go a long way to just, comb thy hair, wash thy hair, trim thy eyebrows, put on some lipstick, some eyeshadow, some eyeliner, a bit of blush. Definitely goes a long way, and I think Libras do understand that. So like I said, you're most likely to get what you want when you look the part, and that is ultimately the logic. This has been tried and tested. I know it for a fact. Listen, everything is about chess with them. It's almost like for them, it's almost like undressing society's social standards to kind of get what they want. So they know exactly which tunes to sing. They know how to sing like a canary. They know how to sway public opinion. They know how to deal with the public. They know how to get the public on their side, even if it is that they might have made a mistake somewhere, somehow, but they know how to deal with the public, and not even in a manipulative way, but just in a, listen, I'm human, I make mistakes, surely you can relate. Of course we can relate. We all make mistakes, right? So, along with this incredible intellect, they expect everyone around them to understand this, or if there's a difference in opinion or perspective, that at least it still achieves the desired outcome. Look, you can agree to disagree a lot of the time with Libras. Libras are very excellent debaters. They don't mind having, an intellectual debate and exchanging intellectual banter. That's definitely not an issue for them. And even if you don't agree with them, as long as whatever it is that you're disagreeing on, you guys can come to some sort of common ground, some sort of a balance, some sort of equilibrium. Can I say that enough? No. Depending on where Libra is in your own chart, that's where the above mentioned energies will play out for you. So, for example, if it is in your 6th house, you probably want balance in your everyday life and your activities. So anything that kind of disrupts this or throws you off will definitely have you feeling some type of way. For example, a child falling ill disrupts the whole day's activities and becomes a priority, albeit stressful. So I know Libra's in my 6th house, so it's definitely in my everyday life. It's also in my work life. So I know I definitely get thrown off if, for example, I get to work or I arrive at work and my computer's not working, or my computer needs to be updated, and maybe it's going to take longer than usual, like an hour or two. And that definitely disrupts the flow that I would usually have on any other given working day. So that's definitely something to consider with Libra energy. So anything that throws off your energy in your everyday life, if Libra is in your 6th house, it is a bit of an inconvenience, but also it just depends on what is actually happening. So of course, a child falling ill definitely comes the priority, because you want your child to be healthy, and as much as you want things to go smoothly, your child falling ill will definitely become a priority as soon as it happens. So that's just an example I wanted to make, because it something like that would definitely change the outcome of the whole day. Whatever plans you might have had would definitely come to a standstill if something like that were to happen, if it is in your 6th house. Of course, other houses have different types of energies, so I don't think this description would relate to any of the other houses. Also, let's also talk about how people are always assuming that Libras just can't be alone. It's not that Libras can't be alone. Trust me, they do spend time alone. I mean, it's not like they constantly with people. It's just that they appreciate people's energy so much. They appreciate all of the different perspectives. They appreciate all of the people around them, because also understand that they're quite picky with the people around them. So it's taken them a lot of time to build the relationships that they do have with people, and they're only building those relationships because they are of value. And of course, their ruling planet is Venus, so anything of value they're definitely going to cling to, they're definitely going to be possessive and protective over. So it goes without saying, that's just the nature of Venus energy, Venus Libra energy. Not that we need to refer it to Taurus Venus energy, but Taurus Venus energy is also the same thing. They're also quite possessive over, they're more possessive over things rather. But they treat people as things as well, which is a shame really. But I'm sorry, Taurus, but it's true. But they enjoy spending time with the people in their lives, whether it be a partner, a lover, a friend, a relative, a child, whatever type of relationship they have with anyone. They always want to be there because they know how fragile life is. So and also their symbol, like the scales, it demands for them to constantly be doing something that's balancing them. So they need to be balancing relationships, they need to be balancing friendships, they need to be balancing work, goals, their priorities, and everything else that comes with being a human. So I think it needs to be understood in that perspective. And if it can be understood in that perspective, maybe we would understand the motivations behind a lot of the things that Libras do. I definitely understand it from that perspective, and it's made a whole lot of sense when I've observed the Libras around me. They don't just do things just or just for the sake of it. And it's actually so sad, because it's not always about romantic relationships that they cling to. I've definitely seen this. I've heard this negative connotation being spread through social media, and it's so unnecessary. I think a lot of the times we just need to dig a little deeper when it comes to these misconceptions that we see about our zodiac signs. All of our zodiac signs definitely have something to offer. We can all learn from each other, and this is what this podcast is about. But anyway, facts or myths about Libras. The first one being they are indecisive. I think this is a myth. Does everyone equate taking long to make an informed decision by means of analyzing both the pros and cons as a negative thing? I mean, of course, it depends on the situation. Some situations need like an urgent yes or no, or an urgent answer, and I think that's how it can be a bit annoying, or it can be a negative thing to take long when it comes to making decisions. But other than that, I think, like I said, Libras are very logical, so a lot of the times they will consider all aspects. Remember that they're the judge, so they need to be fair about everything. They need to consider all points of views. They need to consider all possible consequences, all possible repercussions. And that is a lot of work. That is a lot of thinking. That is a lot of deliberating. That is a lot of, and I think that's also why they like maintaining relationships with people, because they get different perspectives from a whole lot of different people. They understand that they can learn a lot from people around them. They understand that they can learn a lot from their relationships with people, because obviously as people, we go through different experiences. We won't all, we can live in the same space. We can, even be raised by the same parents, but we'll definitely have differences in how we view life, even how we view people, how we view society. So that's something that they do consider. Number 2, they can be self-indulgent or vain. I think this is fact, but it's only for a purpose, because they know how powerful first impressions are. In the world that we live in, we cannot take this for granted. Your best foot should always be forward. Number 3, they are cowards. This is a myth. This is a myth. To you, yes. To themselves, they know better than to engage in frivolous conversation or even activities. Number 4, they don't care. This is definitely a myth. It just depends on, what is it that requires their care, because they're quite picky about who and what they spend their energy on. Number 5, they are clingy. This is a fact because they can cling onto relationships, romantic or otherwise, for a long time, even when they shouldn't be. And it's also a myth, as they do like to have their own things going on. They do like to focus on their own goals and focus on things that they also need to do. But they're just less likely to expose these things. Like, they will expose a night out on the town with friends, but they probably won't expose themselves having breakfast at their favorite restaurant. Like, for them it's like, no, that's my me time. Not everybody needs to know about this. Or maybe they'll run themselves a really long hot bath and read a book and have candle lit, and some incense and amazing smelling candles and amazing smelling bubble bath, and that's their time alone. I mean, who would expose moments like that, right? Number 6, they are childish. This is definitely a myth, but they like that you think that way so that they can prove you wrong. With a big smile on my face. Number 7, they are two-faced. This is definitely a myth. They just don't want to have to pick sides, because they can see both sides to everything. And they can see both sides to everything as a judge would. Fair? No? Number 8, they are fake. This is definitely a myth. I just think that they just don't want to be in anyone's mouth unless it's to resolve something or it's to be shown appreciation for something that they've actually done. So most of the time, like I said, they don't like conflict. So, if you're going to be talking about them, it better be something good, or it better be because you're asking about advice, or you're asking about leadership, or you're asking about something that actually makes sense in their logical mind. Other than that, it's like, why should they even be dealing with you? Why should they even be giving you the attention, the energy? So, yeah, definitely things to understand about them. I think there are a lot of misconceptions, and I'm hoping to break those down with the podcast, and I'm having so much fun with it. But as I mentioned prior, a disclaimer that not every single Libra will have these characteristics, so please be open-minded. As I always say, aspects do play a huge role in how these energies play out. I just want to end off by saying, air signs, you are amazing and make us think out of the proverbial box and give us different perspectives. Also, you encourage the rest of the zodiacs to live in the moment. I hope I was able to break Libra energy all the way down for you. Next video will be about Aquarius energy. On that note, thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know in the comments down below where Libra energy shows up for you, what I may have left out, and what your thoughts are about Libra. Show me some love and subscribe to my channel. Again, your time spent is much appreciated. Till next time, you know what you do, so keep doing what you do. Peace, love, and most of all, light. I'm out.